So I'm an 18-year-old female who enjoys taking walks. On this day in particular, I was wearing full workout clothes, had my earbuds in, and was carrying a water bottle. It was a hot summer day, mid-July, and I'm just walking past one of the bridges on my road. This white truck zooms past, and then, as if changing its mind, stops. My heart is picking up speed as the truck backs up, and stops right beside me. My guard is up as the driver rolls down the window. It appears to be an older white man, probably in his 60s. He looks at me and says, "How much farther do you have to go?" I inform him that I was just about to turn around. There's a moment of pause, complete silence. He leans over into his middle compartment and I'm tense to run. Then he turns back to me with the weirdest smile. "Good. Very good," he says. Then he puts it in drive and speeds away. What the fuck? I did end up turning around and going home, not sure if it was just a well-meaning old guy or if I had just narrowly avoided something harrowing. Now every time I walk my normal route, I pray that me and the old-timer don't meet. 1, 2, 3. Posted by usecrop_squircle. One day ago old man mistakes me for a urinal short. This happened yesterday and I'm still just as confused and grossed out. So I was waiting on the back street to my house for my partner, next to this footpath that people usually take for walks every afternoon. It's early afternoon and I'm just standing under a small tree for shade in a clearing and this older couple, maybe in their mid-50s, are walking past. We exchange glances as you do. They seem normal enough but the husband double takes on me a couple times but it didn't seem weird or anything. He suddenly breaks off from her and starts walking off the path straight toward me. Which is weird because all there is around me is short bushes and trees. I move out of the way a little and he takes another long dead look at me before stopping right next to me and pulls his junk out and begins pissing in the bushes right next to me. I start walking straight to the other side of the path and look back and I catch him staring right at me the whole time. I see him stay there out the corner of my eye for a good minute or two and then turns to look at me again and walks off. I know it sounds a little silly being freaked out by that, but the fact that he went straight to where I stood and stared at me the entire time even when I walked away while he was pissing and it was repulsive. So you sick old man, I hope to hell we don't meet again.
Posted by user Angel Faceed. Stalked in Paris. Edit. Thanks for all the votes guys. It's nice how supportive people are on stuff like this. I really appreciate it. Smile. Hi. Story from abroad here that could have ended a whole lot worse. I went to Paris on my gap year back in 2017. I was there for about 4 days, and it was April, around the time of the Champs-Élysées attack where 3 policemen were shot. I happened to witness this from inside a store when it happened and had to walk back to my hostel after. I was 19. Anyways, my second day there I think. I had tickets to the Louvre. I set off in the morning, extremely excited and not at all daunted by anything. It was my first time traveling alone, out of the country in general. I'm British, I loved it. I had Google Maps out. Walking the whole way there was about 45 minutes but I didn't mind. About 15 minutes in, I'm walking and a guy notices me, calls out a whistle and smiles at me. Okay, I would be annoyed but I'm in Paris, who cares? Carry on walking. A few minutes later he appears next to me, smiling and saying hi. He's about early/mid-20s, very tanned skin. Not sure of the nationality. I say hi back, surprised, thinking he must have been following me strange. We begin to talk. I tell him I'm here traveling and going to the Louvre today. He asks me a lot of questions, can't remember exactly what about, but we have a general conversation in my very poor French, haha. I ask him why he's following me, doesn't he have somewhere to be? This doesn't faze him, he smiles and carries on talking, says he doesn't have anywhere to be. Okay, he starts saying I should go to dinner with him tonight. I say great. In my head that's not going to happen, so I decide to start playing around with the convo. I ask, do you smoke? He looks surprised and says yes. Do you? Keep in mind his English is really poor too, which I thought was odd because why would you attempt to talk to someone in English and find out about them if you know you can't? But well. Oh well, I look up weed in Google French and say, do you smoke weed? He looks slightly confused but laughs and says, oh yes. You come with me and we can smoke later. I laugh too, thinking alrighty mate. I don't smoke. This was funny to throw him off a bit. He also doesn't know his way around, which was odd. Had no idea where the Louvre was. I wasn't bothered to ask his life story, so never found out where he came from. Anyway, I told him I have tickets already, I'm going straight and I don't know why you're following me. He doesn't mind this and continues, says he'll wait for me. We can go for dinner later, you can come back to my apartment and meet my friends, we can smoke, okay?
We get there, my heart is beating a little faster at this point. I'm alone, in a different country. What do I do? Well, the entrance to the Louvre has a big open space full of people, which was slightly comforting. I finally see you get your tickets at a kiosk. This is the first time I straight up walk away, ignore him and go there. There's an older guy who speaks English there, for tourists obviously, and I say hello, I'd like my ticket, blah blah. He could have been English for all I know, but my mind was going at too fast a pace to notice. The guy is now stood at a distance, watching me. I look the man straight in the eye as he asks me a question and say there is a man following me. His expression changes and we keep eye contact the entire time. He says where, I say to the far right. He glances and looks back at me. He asks a few questions. I say well, I'm going there straight away. So what's he doing? He tells me go straight in, don't talk to him, walk away. I agree. The guy suddenly comes right up to me and says what's going on? Or something. We don't break eye contact and the man says are you going to be okay? I change tone and say yes. Thank you so much. The guy continues to follow me, but at this point I'm over it and I leave him behind. Going down an escalator I see him watching me, and looking around. The weird and kind of sad thing is I tried to tell all the security they had, which was a lot, down to the entrance there's a man following me. What do I do? French lady behind the desk who stamps my ticket says ticket please, make your way downstairs. Fine. With no one listening to me, I go to a security desk in the Louvre itself and say the same. This lady talks to me, asks my information, then proceeds to tell me he was probably trying to rob me. In broad daylight. Following me for over 30 minutes? Come on. There's a cold feeling all over my body at this point, but I'm safe and sound inside. They had numerous soldiers with guns walking around the place, and outside too, so to an extent I wasn't in serious danger, but once again being alone, young, my hostel far away. If I'd told him where I was staying, which he continuously asked for but I didn't tell him, something else could have happened entirely, and I'm so glad I got to enjoy the rest of the trip, save for the shooting, without much hassle. I still haven't told my parents. My mother would freak. I think about this story and wonder what would have happened if I'd listened to him. When I came out, as far as I could see, he wasn't there. So thankfully I'll never find out. I have more freaky stories from this trip and where I went next, Spain. I'm pretty self-aware, but for some reason trouble follows me whenever I go abroad. Haha.
Posted BYU/SRDJ. When a stranger calls mixed with a bit of the strangers. I live in a big city in Florida that can turn into vast country nothingness pretty quickly. My boyfriend's parents were out of town for a couple weeks, so I decided to stay a weekend with him while he house sat for them. Their house is about 45 minutes from my place. I live in the downtown area of my city, in the literal middle of nowhere. You have to drive down a one-lane dirt road for about 15 minutes before you even reach their house, which conveniently is the last house, in the middle of the woods, down this rough dirt road. Something straight up out of a fucking horror movie. the closet neighbor is 5 minutes away, no cell phone service, etc. After a day of drinking beer mimosas by the pool, we decided to put on Wild Hogs, totally my choice. I was high and wanted to watch a terrible movie, and make dinner. About an hour later we were on the couch, our edibles had just hit when two fucking cops walk up to his front door. We sprung up and asked them what was going on. They told us they had gotten 2 calls to 911. From inside the house from one of the landline phones. Yeah, these people still have landline phones. We told them that it had just been us here all day and that neither of us had made the calls or even touched the phones. The cop took out his phone and showed us the number the call came from, and it was the house number. They left a few minutes later just as confused as we were. As we watched them drive off, my anxiety started spiking. The cops had just been called for nothing. If we really needed them later for something, they may not be as quick to run out here. My boyfriend then picked up the house phone to see if there was a dial tone. What was on the other end of that phone was the most gut-wrenching, horrifying, paralyzing, typical horror movie type static. Like someone was walking around with the phone. There was movement to it. I swore if we kept listening to it, we would have heard breathing. In a stoned panic we checked all 5 landlines in the house, including the one in his dad's shed. They were all there, untouched. I asked him if anything like this had ever happened before. His parents built the house and he had lived there his whole life. He said no. There was just no explanation for any of this. We called his parents in the middle of all this and they were just confused/shocked as me, him, and even the cops. He sat down and tried to figure this all out, but being the horror movie and true crime junkie I am, I knew we had to get the fuck out of there. We've all seen The fucking Strangers. His parents had been out of town for 2 weeks, house left unattended until this night, so, you know, just free real estate for robbers and more than likely, in my mind, some hillbilly murderers. He then tried to find his dad's gun just in case it was needed, and the gun that had been hidden in the same spot for 25 years wasn't there and was nowhere to be found. That really didn't help the situation. I finally convinced him to come spend the night at my house, so we started cleaning up as fast as we could and booked it. I was doing about 85 down that one lane, now pitch black, dirt road. I had never felt such relief in my life than when I finally made it onto the main road. After calling all my friends and screaming in their ears about the horror movie we had just survived, we got to my house, locked all the doors, took 2 Xanax and passed out. To this day we don't know what was going on. Nothing like that has happened since. Maybe it wasn't anything after all and we were just incredibly high and paranoid, or maybe it was a couple bloodthirsty backwoods psychopath killers. Either way, I'm happy we didn't stick around to find out which one it was though. Whoever or whatever was fucking with us that night, let's not meet.
Creepy dude in my apartment complex. Today I left my space to go take care of some business down at the leasing office. While in the elevator, a floor down, 2 dudes get on. Nothing out of the ordinary for a Wednesday afternoon. I walk ahead and one guy goes one way and the other guy follows me out the front door. I think I hear him say something to me but ignore him because I have so much shit to do today. This guy, walking his bike, starts following me down the sidewalk. I'm speed walking at this point. Miss. He calls after me. What? I ask while still walking briskly. You on your way to work? Yup, I say as I enter the leasing office and hightail it to one of the dudes in there that I know. I didn't see the guy after that, but the neighborhood I'm in isn't the greatest, and I've already got really bad anxiety as it is, having survived multiple assaults. I don't take chances with this bullshit. Tomorrow I'll talk to the office about it. I was in there for something else entirely this morning, tomorrow, and we'll see if they can check the security footage to make sure that the weirdo actually lives here. If he doesn't, he'd better be ready to dial 911 if he runs into me again, because he'll need an ambulance for himself and not for me. Weird bike dude, let's not meet. Update: I talked to the office. They said that it was definitely weird and that they'd review surveillance footage to make sure he lives here or not. 1, 2, 3. Posted BYU Bengal Smangle. 1 day ago he liked my dog, and me apparently short. I was 14 when this happened, and lived in a rural Ontario town. The sun was just setting and I was walking my small puppy, Roxy. Strange at the time I didn't notice he was weird, but when I look back he was strange looking. 65-year-old man walked up and started playing with her, which was completely normal as my puppy was really cute. He kept saying how cute she was, and I was an awkward teenager so I just nodded. It was when he turned to me after one of his praises and said, "But you aren't as pretty and cute as your owner," and winked at me when I realized I should probably leave. He followed me to my house, then walked by. I didn't tell my parents. A month later, at my high school, a girl a year older than me brought her boyfriend outside of the school. It was him. He winked at me again. Last time I saw him, thank God,